Great. Thank you very much for these opening statements. The first question I want to ask tonight should not be a surprise given the fact that we are an academic institution. I want to invite Sal to answer first, and then David, and then Donna. The first question is, Oregon schools are near the bottom of the nation in funding. Is this a problem? And what would you do to support improvements in public education in Oregon?
I'm answering. I think it's a huge problem. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, Oregon is 40th out of 50 states in funding K through 12 education, 46th out of 50 states in funding higher education. That means higher tuition for you. It means fewer students will actually be able to stay in school for the full 4-year period. I think that it is critical that we look for new funding sources for both K through 12 education and college education, and I have a good place to start. Oregon currently returns about $100 million per legislative biennium to out-of-state and multi-state corporations that do business here in Oregon through the corporate income tax kicker. Now, corporations in the state already enjoy the lowest income tax rate in America out of 50 states. We are third or fourth highest in terms of payroll taxes, individual payroll taxes. So I think we need to take a look at eliminating the corporate kicker and then earmarking a certain portion of that $100 million for K through 12 education and for higher education. Additionally, the revenue portion of it is important, but the other portion is we need to make sure that education spends our money more wisely, that they do a better job with targeting where that money should go. Now, I think that for K through 12 education, we need to increase the number of teachers, or in other words, decrease class sizes from kindergarten through 3rd grade. This is from the USA Chalkboard Project, their recommendations. It's a nonpartisan organization that is intended to promote better education in Oregon and America. So I think we need to take a very, very close look at the recommendations this organization's made. They have some ideas for making education costs more efficient. And so that's, I guess, the K through 12 side of the equation. For college education, we just need to make sure that we provide adequate funding and that the students have the resources that they need in order to get an education and develop the skills that you'll need as you move forward in life. Thank you.
David?
It isn't a question of funding, it's a question of misfunding. The problem with education in Oregon is that it is institutions that are supported, not the students. A clear example is the big difference between private institutions like Linfield or Fox and some of the others, as opposed to the black hole down in Eugene. When private schools compete for students, that's the free market way. When students compete for seats at the state university, that is not the free market method. The free market model is the result of having 15% of the university students in Oregon attending private schools, but yet are graduating 85% of them in 4 years, where the 4-year state schools graduate 50% in 4 years. The 15% going to private colleges produce 61% of all the engineers, 34% of all the teachers, 30% of all the nurses, and 26% of all your business majors. The problem is we are funding institutions instead of empowering students. Any kind of state aid should go to the student and should be completely portable to go to any school that he chooses or anywhere he wants to go. And that's how you solve the funding problem of higher education.
Thank you. Representative Nelson?
Yes, thank you. I served initially in the legislature in 2001 on the Education Committee, which was a choice of mine because, as most of you know, I am a teacher. It was very sad for me to learn, once we'd done our studies, and I worked with Dr. Paula Radish, the superintendent of the Newburgh schools, and also Dr. Betty Youngblood at Western Oregon University, in studying the unfunded mandates, and found that state requirements on our schools takes about 5 to 8% of the budget. Now, if you take, 5% of 35 million or 30 million, it's a substantial number. So I have since sponsored bills to end the unfunded mandates in schools. We have pages of them, and they're passed around the legislature every year. I think there's 6 or 9 pages of what we've demanded. Things like SIM and CHEM, which have proved not to be effective means of testing. I've read those papers myself. We don't even have remedial programs should somebody not pass them. So in the unfunded mandates, also, most of you know, and I brought this study, I'd be happy to share it with anybody. The Elliott State Forest, which is a large portion of our common school fund, has been in peril because of the murrelet. And if we had just put this vast resource given to us by Congress many, many years ago in a trust fund, we would have today over $5 billion. We could live just on the interest of this stuff to grow programs. Every child is an A student, in my opinion, and should have opportunity to study wherever is most appropriate for that child's ability. I really believe that we have excellent students and excellent teachers in our state. What we don't know is what does it really cost in overhead? When you ask the Legislative Council to draft a bill to require us to tell what the overhead is to run an agency, and since I come from a business background, I have been astonished to know that it's over their head. They do not understand that burden of administrative costs. We do need to put at least 75% of our money in the classroom.
Thank you.